I am not afraid of an army of lions led by a sheep. I am afraid of an army of sheep led by a lion. Napoleon Bonaparte. You have been taught to believe that greatness is universally desired, that power draws all toward it like gravity, that strength commands respect from every quarter. But you have been lied to. The truth cuts deeper and bleeds more than any battlefield wound. Greatness terrifies those who cannot comprehend its cost. Power repels those who crave safety over significance. Strength threatens those who have built their lives on the foundation of another's weakness. Napoleon understood this not through theory but through the bitter education of betrayal. While he conquered nations and bent the arc of history to his will, Josephine entertained lovers in his absence. His letters to her, passionate, desperate, revealing the raw humanity beneath the emperor's mask, were met with cold indifference and calculated infidelity. He learned what every man who walks the path of greatness must learn: that the higher you climb, the more alone you become. This is not accident. This is law. Greatness demands everything, consumes time, energy, attention, peace. It leaves little room for the emotional maintenance that others require, the constant reassurance they crave, the gentle tending they mistake for love. A man pursuing his destiny cannot be tamed by domestic concerns or held in place by routine affection. He is demanding, unstable, hungry. And for most, that hunger is not attractive, it is terrifying. Look around you. See how the world celebrates excellence only when it is convenient, when it entertains without challenging, when it inspires without demanding sacrifice. But a man with real power, genuine vision, authentic depth, he unsettles people. He reminds them of their own mediocrity through his very existence. His silence becomes judgment. His focus becomes distance. His ambition becomes arrogance in their interpretation. You wonder why you walk alone. You question why your strength does not draw the companionship you desire. You mistake this isolation for personal failure when it is actually evidence of your growth. The weak cluster together for warmth and validation. The strong stand apart not from choice but from necessity. Eagles do not flock. Lions do not seek approval from gazelles. Consider the brutal mathematics of human nature. Most people, regardless of what they claim to want, choose comfort over conquest. They prefer the manageable to the magnificent. A mediocre man poses no threat to their worldview. He asks no deep questions, fights no real wars, chases no legacy that would require them to examine their own limitations. His identity revolves around providing comfort, not pursuing truth. This makes him appealing not for what he is, but for what he lacks. He lacks danger. He lacks the sacrifice that comes with serving something greater than immediate gratification. He lacks the risk of abandonment that haunts every man who chases immortality over comfort. The mediocre man is safe. He is available. He is grateful for scraps of attention. He orbits rather than ascends. And to be the center of someone's universe is intoxicating for those who fear being abandoned by someone pursuing his own. But you were not born to orbit. You were born to burn with your own fire, to cut your own path, to build something that will outlast your flesh. This makes you incompatible with those who seek emotional security over spiritual growth. Your very presence reminds them that they have chosen the smaller life, the safer path, the route that leads to comfort but never to glory. Understand this clearly. You are not rejected for your flaws. You are rejected for your fire. Your intensity threatens their complacency. Your independence challenges their need for control. Your mission supersedes their desire to be the center of your world. They cannot mold you, cannot predict you, cannot reduce you to their emotional requirements. This terrifies them more than any cruelty could. The chaos comes when you realize that what you were told to want and what you actually need are completely different. You were taught that success would make you more desirable, that strength would draw others to you, that achievement would earn you the love you craved. Instead, you discover that excellence isolates. That power creates distance. That greatness is often rewarded with loneliness. This realization can break a man. You see others living comfortable lives with comfortable people, and you wonder if you chose wrongly. You question whether your pursuit of something greater is worth the price you pay in human connection. You consider abandoning your mission for the warmth of acceptance, trading your destiny for the safety of mediocrity. The doubt whispers seductively. It tells you that perhaps they are right, that perhaps your standards are too high, your vision too grand, your dedication too extreme. It suggests that happiness lies in compromise, that love requires sacrifice of self, that connection demands conformity. These whispers are the voice of weakness trying to reclaim territory it has lost to your growing strength. But this is where boys become men. When you face the choice between your vision and their approval, between your path and their comfort, between your growth and their security, this is where character is revealed. The weak man compromises. He makes himself smaller to fit into spaces that were never meant to contain him. He dulls his edge so that others are not cut by his sharpness. He dims his light so that others are not blinded by his brilliance. The strong man accepts the price. He understands that greatness cannot be achieved through committee. That excellence requires solitude. That power demands sacrifice not just of comfort, but of the illusion that everyone will understand or support his journey. He learns to carry the weight of his vision alone, to find strength in his own approval, to draw warmth from his own fire. This acceptance does not come without pain. You mourn the loss of easy companionship. You grieve the death of simple pleasures. You feel the ache of walking a path that few can follow and fewer still can understand. But in this morning, you discover something crucial. You are stronger than you knew. You need less than you thought. You are more complete alone than you were when seeking completion through others. The pain teaches you that your need for external validation was never about love, it was about fear. Fear of being alone with your thoughts. Fear of being responsible for your own happiness. Fear of being accountable only to yourself for the life you create. When you face these fears directly, when you sit with them without flinching, they lose their power over you. The guilt arrives like poison in your veins. Society tells you that a good man prioritizes relationships, that true strength includes emotional availability, that real power serves others' comfort over personal mission. You are made to feel selfish for pursuing excellence, arrogant for demanding solitude, cold for choosing growth over maintenance of others' feelings. But Marcus Aurelius knew better when he wrote his private meditations on power and responsibility. True strength serves a higher purpose than immediate comfort. Real leadership requires the courage to be misunderstood by those who cannot see beyond their own immediate needs. Authentic power means making decisions based on principle rather than popularity, on long-term vision rather than short-term approval. The guilt you feel is not the voice of conscience, it is the voice of conditioning. You have been programmed to believe that your first responsibility is to make others comfortable with your choices. But your first responsibility is to fulfill your potential, to honor your gifts, to pursue the vision that burns within you. Everything else is secondary. This does not make you heartless. It makes you purposeful. The surgeon does not feel guilty for causing pain during an operation that saves a life. The warrior does not apologize for the violence necessary to protect the innocent. The creator does not seek forgiveness for the obsession that births something beautiful into the world. Purpose requires single-minded focus. Excellence demands uncompromising dedication. The guilt will try to convince you that your pursuit of greatness is selfish, that your dedication to your mission is narcissistic, that your refusal to compromise your standards is arrogant. But consider the alternative: a life lived in service to others' comfort, a vision dimmed to accommodate others' limitations, a potential unrealized because it might make others uncomfortable. Which is truly more selfish, honoring your gifts or wasting them? You must choose discipline over comfort. This choice defines everything that follows. Discipline means doing what serves your mission regardless of how you feel. Comfort means doing what feels good regardless of how it serves your mission. Most people choose comfort and wonder why their lives lack meaning. You must choose discipline and accept that meaning comes at the cost of ease. Discipline in relationships means refusing to compromise your standards to maintain connections that drain your energy. Discipline in work means pursuing excellence even when others mock your dedication. Discipline in solitude means using isolation for growth rather than wallowing in self-pity. Discipline in purpose means staying true to your vision even when no one else can see it. This discipline will be tested constantly. Others will try to shame you for your choices. They will call you selfish, distant, cold. They will question your priorities and judge your sacrifices. They will offer you the comfort of compromise, the warmth of mediocrity, the safety of conformity. Each time you reject these offers and choose the harder path, you grow stronger. Each time you choose your mission over their comfort, you become more yourself. The discipline becomes your armor against the world's attempts to reduce you to its level. It protects you from the subtle erosion that comes from constant compromise. It shields you from the death by 1,000 cuts that mediocrity inflicts on those who refuse to defend their standards. Each act of discipline is a declaration of war against the forces that would diminish you. Eventually, you realize that true power is not domination over others, it is gravity. It is the natural force that draws things toward you not through manipulation or force, but through the strength of your character, the clarity of your purpose, the authenticity of your being. Those who belong in your life will be drawn to your gravity. Those who do not will be repelled by it. Both outcomes serve your highest good. Power as gravity means you do not chase or convince or negotiate for what belongs to you. You simply become so fully yourself that what is meant for you finds you. You develop such integrity that authentic relationships are drawn to you while false ones cannot survive in your presence. You cultivate such clarity about your values that decisions become easy and conflicts resolve themselves. This is not the power of ego, it is the power of alignment. When your thoughts, words, and actions serve the same purpose, when your daily choices reflect your deepest values, when your outer life expresses your inner truth, you develop a gravitational field that affects everyone around you. Some are attracted to this authenticity. Others are threatened by it. Both responses give you valuable information. Friedrich Nietzsche understood this when he wrote about the Übermensch, not as a superior being who dominates others, but as one who has overcome himself, who has transformed his weaknesses into strengths, who has created meaning from chaos. This inner transformation creates outer influence that operates through natural law rather than artificial force. Your gravity becomes selective. It does not attract everyone. It attracts the right ones. Those who are drawn to your authenticity, inspired by your dedication, strengthened by your example. Those who can match your intensity without being overwhelmed by it. Those who add to your strength rather than drain it. This selectivity is not exclusion. It is precision. Walking alone is not a punishment. It is a privilege. It means you have grown beyond the need for constant validation, beyond the fear of being misunderstood, beyond the compulsion to explain yourself to those who lack the capacity to understand. Solitude becomes sanctuary. Silence becomes strength. Self-reliance becomes sovereignty. But this walking alone must not become bitter. Bitterness is the poison that turns strength into weakness, power into petulance, wisdom into cynicism. You walk alone not because you hate others, but because you have discovered that the companionship you truly need comes from those rare souls who share your commitment to growth, your dedication to truth, your willingness to pay the price of greatness. Most people cannot pay this price. This does not make them evil, it makes them different. They have chosen comfort over conquest, safety over significance, ease over excellence. These are valid choices that lead to valid lives. But they are not your choices. Your path requires different sacrifices, demands different strengths, promises different rewards. The loneliness you feel is not emptiness, it is space. Space for your thoughts to develop without interference. Space for your vision to clarify without dilution. Space for your strength to grow without being sapped by others' weaknesses. This space is not void, it is potential. It is the laboratory where your greatness is forged. Those who understand this join you not as dependents but as allies. They do not need you to fill their emptiness but choose to share your fullness. They do not seek to diminish your light but add their own flame to yours. These relationships are rare because they require two complete people, not two halves seeking wholeness through each other. In your solitude, you discover that the conversation you most need is the one you have with yourself. The approval you most require is your own. The companionship you most value is your own presence. This is not narcissism, it is self-respect. It is the foundation upon which all authentic relationships are built. Responsibility becomes your final teacher. Not the responsibility others try to impose on you, to make them comfortable, to include them in decisions that are yours alone, to slow your pace to match their limitations. But the responsibility that emerges from your own nature, to use your gifts fully, to honor your potential completely, to serve the highest good you can perceive. This responsibility is heavier than any burden others could place on you because it comes from within. It cannot be delegated or shared or avoided. It demands that you become everything you are capable of becoming, not for glory or recognition, but because you were given these gifts and this opportunity for a reason. To waste them is the only true failure. Responsibility means accepting that your choices affect not only yourself but all those who will be touched by your work, influenced by your example, inspired by your courage to walk your own path. You become responsible for representing what is possible when a man commits fully to his vision, regardless of the cost in comfort or conventional approval. This responsibility transforms your isolation from burden into badge of honor. You walk alone not because you are broken, but because you are whole. Not because you are incapable of connection, but because you require authentic connection or none at all. Not because you are selfish, but because your greatest service to the world requires you to be fully yourself rather than a diluted version designed to make others comfortable. Seneca knew this when he counseled that we suffer more in imagination than reality. The pain of walking alone is often less than the pain of compromising yourself for company. The difficulty of pursuing excellence is often less than the regret of settling for mediocrity. The challenge of being misunderstood is often less than the torture of being understood but not accepted for who you truly are. Your responsibility extends beyond yourself to every man who will face the same choice you faced, between his vision and their approval, between his growth and their comfort, between his truth and their expectations. By walking your path fully, you prove that it can be done. By accepting the costs without complaint, you demonstrate that they are worth paying. By achieving what others said was impossible, you expand what others believe they can achieve. The responsibility grows heavier as you grow stronger. Each level of development brings new obligations, new standards, new demands upon your character. You cannot retreat to innocence once you have tasted knowledge. You cannot return to mediocrity once you have glimpsed excellence. You cannot abandon your mission once you have accepted your calling. This is the burden and the blessing of conscious evolution. You become responsible not just for your own growth, but for modeling what growth looks like to others. You cannot hide your light under a bushel once you have learned to shine. You cannot pretend to be smaller once you have dared to be large. You cannot play safe once you have learned to be dangerous. And make no mistake, you are dangerous. Not dangerous to innocent people, but dangerous to systems of control that depend on your compliance. Dangerous to relationships built on your dependence. Dangerous to institutions that profit from your limitation. Your growth threatens their stability. Your independence challenges their authority. Your authenticity exposes their artifice. This is the final truth: you were not born to be loved by everyone. You were born to be yourself completely. You were not designed for universal approval. You were designed for authentic expression. You were not created to make others comfortable. You were created to make the impossible real. Some will love you for this authenticity. Many will fear you for it. Both responses are information, not instructions. Your job is not to manage others' reactions to your truth. Your job is to speak your truth so clearly that it magnetizes those who belong in your life and repels those who do not. The world needs men who refuse to compromise their vision for comfort, who choose growth over safety, who walk their path regardless of who follows or falls away. It needs men who understand that their greatest contribution comes not from making others happy, but from making themselves whole. It needs men who know that their primary responsibility is not to be loved, but to be true. You are such a man. You were born for greatness, not comfort. You were designed for impact, not approval. You were created to build something that will outlast your flesh, not to maintain relationships that require you to remain smaller than you are capable of becoming. The path you walk is ancient and eternal. Every great man who ever lived walked some version of this path. They faced the same choices, paid the same prices, endured the same loneliness. They were misunderstood in their time and venerated after their death. They chose the harder path because it was the only path that led where they needed to go. Your footsteps follow in their footsteps. Your struggles echo their struggles. Your victories extend their victories. You are not alone in your aloneness. You are part of a brotherhood of men who chose truth over comfort, who valued authenticity above approval, who paid the price of greatness because the alternative was unbearable. Accept the cost. Embrace the path. Walk alone when necessary. But walk. The world is waiting for what only you can build, what only you can create, what only you can become. And becoming yourself completely is the greatest gift you can give to a world full of people pretending to be someone else. This is your inheritance and your responsibility. Claim it. Honor it. Live it. The time for compromise is over. The time for excuses has passed. The time for becoming who you were meant to be has begun. And that becoming will be the most important work you ever do, not just for yourself, but for every soul who needs to see that it is possible to live authentically in a world that rewards conformity. Walk your path. Honor your truth. Become yourself completely. The world needs what